Hello students, today we are going to have a quick revision of Essay 210, that is agreeing the terms of engagement. So, what do you mean by agreeing the terms of audit engagement? Suppose this is an auditor and this is the client or management. So, before starting the audit, the auditor will give the client an agreement that is known as the audit engagement letter. So, both the parties should accept the terms. There will be certain terms and conditions on which we are accepting this audit. So, both the parties have to accept the terms written in this audit engagement letter, and only then the auditor can accept the audit. So, both the parties have to agree to the terms of the audit engagement. Only then the auditor can accept the audit. So, what are these terms, or how will the auditor and the client agree to these terms of audit engagement, and what are the terms? That is discussed in Essay 210, agreeing the terms of audit engagement. At the beginning of every audit, the auditor should determine whether any limitations is imposed by the management. We have to determine whether any limitations is imposed by the management. If the limitations is imposed by the management, then we should not accept the audit. The auditor should not accept the audit if the limitations is imposed. If no limitations is imposed, we have the next step is that we should check whether the preconditions for an audit exist. Preconditions for an audit exist. If the preconditions exist, then we can accept the audit. If the preconditions does not exist, then we have to discuss the matter with the management and accordingly take a decision. So, now we are going to learn what are the preconditions for an audit. So, now we can learn what are the preconditions for an audit. The first and the main condition before accepting the audit is that we should check whether the financial reporting framework with which the management has prepared the financial statement is acceptable to the auditor. So, that is the first condition, acceptability of the financial reporting framework. After that, there are 5 responsibilities of the management. First responsibility is preparation of the financial statements, design, implementation and maintenance of internal financial control. That is, preparation of financial statement is not the responsibility of the auditor. It is the responsibility of the management. The second responsibility is they should design, implement, maintain. Implementation and maintenance, DIM, design, implementation and maintenance of the IFC, that is internal financial control, is the responsibility of the management. Then there are 3 things the management should provide the auditor. That is, the management should provide the auditor with all the relevant informations, all the additional informations that the auditor requests, and unrestricted access to persons within the entity. So these are the 3 things the management should provide the auditor with. First is all the information. Second one, all the additional information that the auditor asks. Third one is unrestricted access to persons within the entity. So these are the preconditions for an audit. First one is acceptability of the financial reporting framework. Second one is design, implementation and maintenance of internal control. Internal financial control is responsibility of the management. That is, they have to make sure that the financial control is appropriate so that the financial statement is prepared in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework and there is no misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. Then the management should should provide the auditor with all the relevant information, all the additional information, and unrestricted access to persons within the entity. So, in case this preconditions for an audit, exist, then we can accept the audit. If it does not exist, then we have to discuss the matter with the management. And the same conditions, we have to look whether the acceptability is there. So if the acceptability is not there, and we have learned 5 responsibility, if management is not agreeing with these responsibilities, then we should not accept the audit. So this is the summary. In the case of recurring audit, that is, we are doing the audit every year. Do we need to send audit engagement letter every year? We need to send new audit engagement letter, or the old engagement letter is enough? So for checking that, if there is 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding, if there is 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding, then we have to send a new engagement letter. If there is no 7 changes or misunderstandings, then no further duty. That is, the old engagement letter is enough, no further duty. So what is this 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding? That is circumstances in which we need to send a new engagement letter. That is, if there is a change in the terms of the engagement, if there is a change of senior management, if there is a significant change in ownership, if there is a significant change in the nature or size of the entity's business, if there is a change in the legal or regulatory requirements, if there is a change in the financial reporting framework adopted, if there is a change in the other reporting requirements, and if there is indication that the entity misunderstands the objectives and scope of the audit. That is 7 changes. That is 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding. If these conditions are present, then we need to issue, or we need to produce a new engagement letter. Otherwise, there is no need for new engagement letter. So what are the 7 changes? That is, if we are changing the terms of our engagement, the auditor and the client revises the terms of the engagement, or if there is a recent change of senior management, that senior management has changed, so now we need to communicate with the new management, so we need to give a new engagement letter. Similar is the case with significant change in ownership, then we need to give a new engagement letter. Or if the nature or size of the entity's business have changed, then our scope of the audit has changed, so we have to issue a new engagement letter. If there is a change in legal or regulatory requirements, or the financial reporting framework, if that is changed, that is one of the main preconditions. So if that is changed, then we have to issue a new engagement letter. Or if there is change in any other reporting requirements, so we have to remember it as 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding. We have to write the 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding. That is, if we understood that the client has misunderstood the terms, then we should issue a new engagement letter. So 7 changes plus 1 misunderstanding, then we have to issue a new engagement letter. Otherwise, there is no further duty. Okay, so that's with the recurring audit. Now we have to learn what are the principal content of audit engagement. So what is the principal content? The first, in an audit engagement letter, what are the contents that is present in the audit engagement letter? The first one is, we should give the objectives and scope. What are the objectives of this audit, and what are the scope, what are the areas we are covering? Then we have to give what are the responsibilities of the auditor. Next, we have to give what are the responsibility of management and the identification of the applicable financial reporting framework. So, this 2 point, we have this 2 point, this one and this one. We have learned it already. Where? Yes, preconditions, acceptability of the financial reporting framework and the management's responsibility. Same thing will come here. That is preconditions, responsibility of the management and the acceptability or identification of the financial reporting framework. So this point comes from the preconditions. Then we will give the expected form and content of the audit report. This is the expected form and content of the audit report, and in case if there is any circumstances, it may change. We will also give a statement that in case if there is any circumstances, the expected form and content of the audit report will change. So these are the principal contents of the audit engagement letter. That is objective and scope, responsibilities of an auditor, then 2 preconditions. That is responsibility of the management and identification of the applicable financial reporting framework. And the 5th one is expected form and content of the audit report. Okay, so these are the principal contents of audit engagement letter. During the course of the audit, if the management requests us to change the terms of the audit engagement that we have initially agreed upon, so during the course of audit, if the management requests for change, we have to determine what is its effect. We have to determine what is its effect. If the auditor is satisfied, then we can record the new terms in a new engagement letter. If he is not satisfied, then he should not change the terms. And if he is not changing the terms, and if the management is not permitting him to continue the audit, and then he should withdraw from this engagement and report this to the appropriate authority, that is the TCWG or the any other regulatory requirements. If it is there, we need to report to them. So this is the steps we need to follow in case if during the course of audit, if management ask us to change the terms of the audit engagement. So this was a quick revision of SA 210. Hope you liked the video. Thank you.